Today I'm going to take a look at a book from InterVarsity Press. This is called An Unhurried Life, Following Jesus' Rhythms of Work and Rest. And it's by Alan Fadling, and this is revised and expanded, which I didn't have the original, so I wouldn't know what's added to this one. But in case you were wondering, it is the revised and expanded edition. So what drew me to this, you're probably going to guess before I even say anything. I've talked about several times how I do struggle with anxiety, and I also have a hard time just sitting still and calming down sometimes. I feel like I'm always trying to do 500 things at once, and if I'm not, I feel like I'm failing. I'm not doing what I need to do. There's so many things to do. Why are you just sitting here? So I do struggle with that a little bit, as I'm sure a lot of you do too. So that's what drew me to this book. It says, I'm a recovering speed addict. Beginning with this confession, pastor and spiritual director Alan Fadling describes his journey out of the fast lane and into the rhythms of Jesus. Following the framework of Jesus' earthly life, Fadling shows how the work of unhurrying is central to our spiritual development. Productivity is not a sin, but the attitudes behind our work can be our undoing. So how do we find balance between our sense of calling and the call to rest? An Unhurried Life offers a way. Now in paperback, this expanded and revised edition, here's what they added, includes a 5-session group guide, an appendix of ideas for taking 5 unhurried minutes. So that doesn't seem like it was there before. I've never heard of this author before, so I don't know anything about him. It says he's the president and founder of Unhurried Living, Inc. in Mission Viejo, California. Inspiring people to rest deeper, live fuller, and lead better. He's an international speaker, award-winning author of An Unhurried Leader, A Year of Slowing Down, and A Non-Anxious Life. Probably should look into that one too. He's also the co-author with his wife, Jem Fadling, of What Does Your Soul Love? All right. So this book is about 200 pages long, a little less than that, about 190-ish. Okay, so we're going to have 11 chapters. We have A Frenetic Life, An Unhurried Apprentice, Productivity, Unhurried Isn't Lazy, which that just sounds like what I was talking about myself, feeling like I'm lazy if I'm not doing 100 things. Temptation, Unhurried Enough to Resist, Unhurried Enough to Care, Unhurried Enough to Pray, Rest, The Rhythm of Creation, Suffering, Unexpected Unhurrying, Maturity, Growing Up Takes Time, Spiritual Practices for Unhurrying, and Eternal Life. And then we're going to get that appendix of 5 unhurried minutes and a group guide. Chapters appear to be about 15 to 20 pages long. So not super long, but it's not like a devotional with super short chapters. Then let's take a look at the content in the back here. Maybe. Okay. So here's the appendix. This is 5 unhurried minutes, simple ways to remember God's presence. So that goes through some things I'll just read a couple of them to you. Be grateful. Breathe. I guess that's kind of important, right? Be quiet. Call a friend. Light a candle. Say a breath prayer. Imagine a nature scene. Read Psalm 139. Well, now I'm going to have to take a look at that psalm when I'm done here. Stand up and stretch, listen to a favorite song, eat a snack mindfully. I have to try to make it a healthy one as I fall into that trap too. Sip your favorite drink, read slowly, view art, write your thoughts. I'm not reading all of them, but recall a pleasant memory, etc. So just some little reminders there of how to just take a minute when you really need one. This is a group guide. So it says this guide is designed for 5 1-hour small group sessions. If you wanted to do this with your church or with a small group, that would be one you could do in 5 sessions. Participants read 2 chapters and spend time individually with the end of the chapter unhurried time questions and preparations. All of the sessions also draw on the spiritual practices in session 10. Okay, so just for example, it gives you, if you're the leader, it gives you preparation. So you should read, I guess everybody would have to do that, not just the leader. But preparing for the first meeting, you would read chapters 1 and 2, reflect on the end of the chapter questions, read pages 162 to 70 about the practice of extended personal communion with God, See if you can set aside an hour to experiment with that extended personal communion with God before your first meeting. Let the directions on page 168 and 170 help guide you. And then when you actually have the meeting, you discuss the chapters, go over some of the questions, invite anyone who tried that EPC practice to talk about their experience. And then let question 3 from chapter 2 guide your closing prayer, and etc. So that's kind of what you do for the meeting. You go over the chapter, go over the questions, there's like talking points for the week, and then a prayer. Now let me see these questions because I didn't look at those. And it says they're at the end of each chapter. Okay. So for example, this is chapter 2. And it has 3 questions. It says, when you think about ministries you lead or are part of, how much of your assigned work is meant to draw and maintain a crowd? How much intentional effort do you pour into growing individuals whose allegiance to Jesus is deepening, enabling him to transform their character and lives? What aspect of your work will produce lasting fruit? In what ways do you see busyness in your life, even in your Christian life or ministry life, as more of a hindrance to your following Jesus than a help? And then number 3, what opportunities to simplify your life might Jesus be inviting you to consider so that you can walk more closely with him and share the riches of that journey with other like-minded Christ followers? So just want to pull some questions out as an example to see what you would be answering. All right, so I'm excited to get into this. Like I said, I've never heard of this author before, so maybe I'll have to check out some of his other books then after I finish this one. But this is An Unhurried Life, following Jesus' rhythms of work and rest. And as we are finishing up going through the busy holiday season here at the time I'm recording this, I think this will be a good one to start the year reading.